emotive language to distract. By framing the policy as opposing chaos, austerity, and decline, the government positions itself as a savior, when in reality, it's concentrating power.
Our proud towns and cities are given the powers they need to drive growth and raise living standards as part of this government's plan for change. I was delighted to stand alongside Keir as he announced our plan just over a week ago. It's a plan for putting more money in people's pockets, a plan for putting politics back in the service of working people, a plan for stability, investment and reform, not chaos, austerity and decline. And it's a plan that will deliver a decade of national renewal.
Firstly, since we last met as a full council, devolution and local government review have risen up the agenda, and I've been working with leaders across Kent to ensure that we get some form of say in what will probably in effect be done to us. To start, I am Councillor Stuart Jeffrey, possibly the last ever leader of Maidstone Borough Council, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this meeting of the Cabinet.
By consolidating smaller councils into larger units, local voices are then diluted.
About, the devolution agenda, the levelling up agenda, what you call the global to local agenda. I think a lot of people watching understand what Agenda 2030 is. They understand the World Economic Forum. They understand the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and how they're impinging on our lives. But you understand the mechanism of how they're being implemented. So can you tell us, the most important things that are happening in the UK at the moment, which will be relevant to other countries as well, about how these things are being implemented through devolution?
Considering the recent press release in the Kent Online about a signed letter from 12 Kent districts, including Maidstone Borough Council, to Mrs Rayner welcoming devolution, and Kent County Council's Freedom of Information response stating there are no specific training programmes in KCC for levelling up or devolution, significant concerns arise about the lack of preparation and clarity surrounding this deal.
So we asked him, why are you asking people for a devolution if nobody never explained this, that is happening? And first of all, secondly, nobody knows the consultation exists. So the leader of the unitary council who progressing the devolution forward, he said, we don't really have a councillors who understand the devolution, so we can explain this to people. Wow. So you see what is going on. They asking people to commit to something what they don't understand themselves.
If local government reorganisation ends up with us being a unitary authority, it puts the local planning authority in the same organisation as the highways authority. That clearly has some significant benefit in terms of the communication. So I think the short answer is it probably helps.
It's so complicated that the councillors themselves don't understand the process and what's happening, which is quite shocking, isn't it? I understand what's happening in your area is that you've got a number of councils. You've got a county council, you've got local district councils as well, but they're creating something called a combined county authority. Combined council authority, isn't it? Which is going to combine them together and give them some extra money. Is that what's happening?
Question. Will Maidstone Borough Council commit to publishing a comprehensive, publicly accessible impact assessment of the proposed devolution deal, including its financial, administrative and democratic implications, providing clear evidence of public consultation showing how residents' feedback has been collected and incorporated to ensure transparency and accountability before any agreements are made.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. A white paper on devolution has been produced by the government, and that was published on Monday. This sets out their plans for devolution and local government reorganisation. As proposals are confirmed, information will be made public, including on consultation and engagement. This is a government-led initiative. The local decision makers are top-tier authorities, not lower-tier authorities, statutory. So we will work with whatever we've got, and we will publish stuff as and when we find out, and it's appropriate to do so.
But what is the latest in the devolution and the levelling up agenda, and how's it going to affect us?
It's lots of happening because obviously they're speeding up the devolution. I think I have to start with a very important thing to explain what devolution is in very short kind of way. Devolution, and trust me on this, because otherwise you will never understand evolution. Devolution is a communist system. It's a communist system. It's completely the same what they've done before. And to describe the structure of the leveling up, what they're pushing on us, probably the best example will be United Europe, EU, because EU is devolved. That's how the UK is going to look. So the EU practically, even so this is so many countries joining one parliament, they are not really independent. They have to follow the instruction from the EU. So that's exactly how it is going to look here. We're going to have every single part and every single country. It's going to become like a smart city like London.
It's designed to weaken local democracy, erase community identity, and align the UK with globalist governance models.
Now, we were just talking about devolution, and you were just starting to mention something which is to do with the structure of devolution. There's these different levels, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as you say, most councillors don't even understand these different levels. My experience of devolution was when I was on the London Assembly. I was elected onto the London Assembly as a London Assembly member, but I didn't have any real power. All the power rested with the mayor, Sadiq Khan. He could do whatever he wanted and pretty much, unopposed. We could say that we didn't like what he was doing, but he could just turn around and say, well, I don't care, and just do it anyway.
That was going through this level. The first level was the socialist, when you're still keeping paying people, paying the workers. So that's when you're leveling up, taking the power from the central government, but you're still employing people and paying them money. What they're heading for is to stop paying people and everyone become a slave. We own nothing and we will be happy. That's exactly what they're heading for. So what we can do at the moment, we have to keep our democracy. Hate the people in the government, don't hate the system what we have, because we need central government. If we don't have a central government, we don't have a democracy anymore. So because they're leveling everything up, they now focusing on the other area, what was left. So that's why, if you remember, that was a few years ago, 2 years ago, that was lots of talk in the parliament that we don't have, people don't integrate enough. We don't have immigrations in the Cornwall, in Devon, in other parts of UK. This is so unfair. This is terrible for people because this is too many white people there and they are so traditional, they're not progressing. So you see this area now, a few years ago, that went for the second level of the devolution. But because of the pandemic again, they managed to speed it up because they implement so many things on us. So we have to adopt the BLM, the LGBT, they make this so huge nationally. Yeah. So the council act under the emergency law. So at this point, they reached the level which the other town, but in this the moment the other towns was progressing as well. Third level is for a more advanced. Then this is when the Metro Mayor came on. They you couldn't achieve as a country, as an area, you couldn't achieve the third level practically when you don't have a metro mayor. Each level is giving particular powers. So the higher level of devolution, the more power the unitary council have.
A little light bulb switched on when you were talking, because they use this phrase levelling up. And when you hear it, it's presented to you in such a way that you think it's, every area is going to have more money, more jobs, more support. But actually, what it means is going through the levels, level 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Everyone's levelling up to level 4 devolution, which then means you're going to get all of the immigration, BLM, LGBT, then you're going to get a metro mayor in a combined authority, and then the metro mayor is going to assume all the power and be like a little Sadiq Khan.
What we will need to do is to make sure that we don't lose sight of the fact that we're here to improve lives for people in Maidstone whilst we have a Maidstone Borough Council. And one of the things I'll be bringing forward to probably our February council meeting is a consideration, and I've spoken with Stuart about this, and others will know my views on this, is looking into the issue of parish councils or town councils or whatever you want to call it in the urban area. Because if we do move forward to local government reorganisation, we can't afford to have the bulk of our residents having no input into a democratic process. A West Kent-wide local authority will not mean much to most residents. Residents relate to their local areas. So I will be bringing a motion to...
I want to say something about the independent candidates, because people are so scared of politics at the moment, which is, again, part of the agenda. They want us to be scared of politics, because if we're not involved in politics, that means we don't have influence over the politics at all. So this is the best way. Just put people away from politics and do whatever you want. So in regards to independence, if anyone want to vote for an independent candidate, you need to make sure that you know the person well, because the independent candidates become very dependent the moment when they join the council. So.
You're right, and I've seen people. This is a strategy that I've heard of. You have these 4 parties in England, and obviously all around the UK: Tory, Labour, Lib Dem, Green. They're all the same. They've all got the same policies now, but they know this, and they know that they're increasingly unpopular. So what they do is someone leaves, and they're actually still in one of these parties, but they stand as an independent. They get elected as an independent, but they're actually really still a member of the Tory party or the Green party or the Labour party, whatever. And they're just part of the blob.
So, unitary process and end up as a unitary. One of the things I think we desperately will need is a town council to make sure that we are seamless at that level of representation, and that Maidstone maintains a voice within the larger authority.
Okay.
So devolution risks diminishing Maidstone Borough Council's ability to make independent decisions in the best interests of its residents, while centralising power in regional structures that lack local representation. To avoid sacrificing local democracy, how will the council guarantee that public assets, such as land and historic sites, remain under local control, including that residents are fully informed of and consulted on the outcomes of any accepted devolution deal?
Thank you. So your assessment of the risks and impacts accords with mine. In terms of how we will achieve those things, clearly we will continue to act in the best interests of the people of this borough. The answers are not yet there. You may recall from the last council meeting, there was a suggestion that Maidstone needs a town council, for example. So, and I know that much of the discussion about the loss of local direct democracy that we have at a more granular level, that will be lost as a result of the changes that are are coming, has centred around making sure that there are lower, third tier, fourth tier, there'll be fourth tier, won't they? Parishes and town councils are across the board. So hopefully we'll start to work on whether that's possible or not, because clearly democracy is important to us. Thank you.
It doesn't matter how nice it sounds. Those people are already chosen. Those people are coming from selected communities. Communities doesn't mean us. Communities doesn't mean the proper single individual resident. They are already selected communities. And these people already collaborate with the councils. And the funny thing is, because your question straight away, like, if they want to replace the councillors wouldn't be happy with that, obviously. But actually, they would be very happy because, they are already the people who sitting as a chair or any kind of, they have any other function in the selected communities. So,
true grassroots decision-making is eroded, as power is concentrated in fewer hands, often under centrally approved leaders.
55 towns have been selected to each get £20 million of funding to set up town boards, which then have the remit to make and create 10-year plans for those particular towns. Now, up until now, all of this has been done by elected councils, either the borough, district or county councils, which are in control of the towns which are in those boroughs, districts and councils. But this is now bringing into force a new type of entity to create binding long-term plans which are not democratically elected, and that is a very, very big danger to democracy in this country.
This is not positive in a democratic society. All voices should be heard, not just those individuals following narratives or being part of a local virtue signalling network.
To join the Heritage Party, forget about the Reform Party, because they was create their own purpose. Well, everyone knows that, so it's no secret. Hello, Reform Party, people know who you are. So forget about them. We are real people. The Heritage Party is real people, and if anyone is fighting for a particular area of the agenda, join us and we fight together, because then we actually could do something with the political status.
This devolution plan isn't about empowering local communities. It's about creating a framework for centralized control under a collectivist ideology.